BB851, turn right, heading 180. 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
Welcome back to the second part of this mini-series, taking a look at how major aircraft manufacturers are being impacted by COVID-19. Today's focus is on Boeing, who have faced, as we know, many ups and downs over the past 18 months. However, just like everyone else, are facing trying times right now. Not just with their production and orders, but specifically also aircraft programs that have either just been released or are indeed up and coming, and may indeed be halted. I'll begin with production though with Boeing. As we know, production for the 737 MAX was halted in January of this year, therefore before the COVID-19 pandemic really broke into the United States and more widely the world. The 737 MAX though has a backlog of some 5,000 future deliveries, even with recent cancellations. Boeing is therefore hoping to get production beginning again for the type as soon as possible. However, with the COVID-19 hitting, recertifying the 737 MAX is seemingly halted as well. While they still indeed hope to see the MAX flying again sometime this year, it's hard to produce an aircraft if you're not really delivering them to customers. We've already seen in the past 12 months half-built and fully built 737 MAX aircraft simply sitting around Boeing factories like Renton awaiting their eventual delivery. This topic leads me on to shutting production and resuming it as well in recent weeks, with the focus surrounding their 787 earlier on. The Boeing 787 has over time won itself the title of one of the leading long-haul aircraft of our current times. With orders coming from around the world, it's become a go-to aircraft for many airlines, looking at operating long-haul, with, as we know, Qantas before this pandemic using it for their QF9 to QF10 service, which is from Perth to London and back. This is the only route connecting Australia and the UK directly without a single stopover. On the 6th of April, Boeing announced that it would be temporarily suspending all production for its 787 operations at the Boeing South Carolina plant. With the virus spreading across the state, Boeing needed to do everything they could to stop the spread, and noted that during this period that the production would be suspended, the site would undergo a major enhanced cleaning procedures. Though for the 27,000 employees that were temporarily laid off at the likes of Renton and Everett for the last month, Boeing did also announce they'll be restarting production for their aircraft again following a spell on the sidelines in the recent days. This will mean production will restart on the 747, 767, 777 and 787 in this area, while in addition the 737 program will indeed resume. However, the MAX's production will not restart immediately. This is something Boeing is going to continue to work towards. It's worth noting that the Boeing South Carolina plant that I did indeed mention earlier at this particular time of recording does remain closed. The Boeing NMA, dubbed a while back to be the Boeing 797, has been an aircraft I've been incredibly excited for and also interested in its overall development. However, given the current market and the aging of Boeing 757 and Boeing 767, a true replacement has always felt necessary. And while some customers have gone for the 787-8 or even the 737 MAX as a replacement for these older workhorses, Boeing has not really offered a true alternative yet. The Boeing NMA was pitched and talked to seat between roughly 220 to 270 passengers, with two variants being launched. This was according to multiple people, but of course was never officially confirmed nor revealed by Boeing themselves. The program, though, has faced a number of setbacks that are almost of no fault of the type itself. The 737 MAX crisis immediately pushed back any further plans of the aircraft within Boeing, as full focus was put onto the MAX and making sure that it was indeed safe again for future operations. However, now, with the COVID-19 coming into play, the implications are really being felt even more so, with travel demand dropping to a record low of essentially zero. A hot topic across many videos has indeed been the demand for new aircraft. Rather than airlines seeking out what their next billion-dollar purchase is going to be, they're actually looking at ways to downsize their overall operations and move forward with a more efficient and sometimes a smaller fleet for that matter. In my opinion, though, the way Lufthansa are currently going about downsizing is really the perfect example if you want to look at the way the industry will likely move forward, with them grounding all their Airbus A340s, saying goodbye to a number of 747s and 380s just in the past few weeks, since the outbreak of COVID-19 really hit the industry. However, it's worth noting that even for Boeing themselves, releasing a brand new aircraft now when demand simply isn't there, it just would not be the right time. You could argue that Airbus launched their A321XLR honestly just at the right time, at the 2019 Paris Air Show before this virus became a concern. It's since welcomed in hundreds of orders over that roughly, say, 9-month period, indicating the demand for a middle-of-the-market sector jet is always there. And we've talked about it, with analysts predicting roughly 4,000 orders in the coming years, or decades rather, if these aircraft are being provided to customers. But I would not be surprised if that demand does indeed change, as the effects of COVID-19 are felt throughout the next few years. Either way, though, something like the Boeing NMA will eventually always be needed for operations, and as Boeing does not have a true alternative between the 737 and 78 series with the newer technology launching, something in the middle does indeed make sense. However, thanks to COVID-19, these plans will no doubt have been put on hold. We now move to aircraft orders and deliveries. As covered in an earlier video, with the impact of COVID-19, Boeing and many others are feeling the brunt of it. In March, Boeing saw 150 cancelled orders for the 737 MAX, while only delivering some 20 aircraft, 11 of those being for the 787 and none being for the 737 series. This is a very low amount, considering if the MAX was indeed still being produced and delivered, they'd be looking at in and around 50 or more jets being delivered every single month from their entire portfolio of aircraft. The drop-offs are indeed staggering, not just for Boeing but also for Airbus, as discussed in yesterday's video. With Boeing not having built a single MAX since January, it further showcases how crisis after crisis has been impacting the aircraft manufacturer in a negative way. For Boeing, there is indeed a few other topics that I'd love to eventually cover in their own separate video, but for now, these are some of the major topics that I find specifically incredibly interesting. What are your thoughts on some of the things I discussed? Do not hesitate to let me know, and as always, thank you very much for the continued support. I do look forward to seeing you all next time.